Futaro is a poor friendless loser who lives with his dad and little sister. They struggle to make ends meet due to his delinquent father racking up a shit ton of debt, and because of his dumbass of a father, he was forced to tutor a harem of pain-in-the-ass quintuplets that make his already miserable life a living hell. And it all started when Futaro was walking over to his usual table for lunch. But when he puts his tray down, a redheaded girl shows up who wants the same spot. They argue about who got there first, but end up sharing the table, surprising everyone around. While eating, Futaro notices the girl's expensive lunch and is amazed at how rich she seems. She teases him for studying so hard and still not getting good grades, but then she realizes he's actually acing his studies, which makes her envious. She asks him for help, but he rejects the request and instead criticizes her for ordering too much food, which upsets her. Later, Futaro learns from his sister that his financial issues can be solved as he has got a new tutoring job with a wealthy family. She informs him about the name of the girl, which is Itsuki. The next day during the class, a new student, Nakano Itsuki, arrives, and Futaro realizes she's the one whom he criticized earlier. Further, she is the same girl who he will be teaching. He tries to apologize for his past behavior, but she ignores him, making him worry about losing his tutoring opportunity. Throughout the day, he attempts to talk to her, but keeps getting interrupted by Itsuki's friends. When he tries to approach her outside her home, her friends block his way and question his motives. He tells them that he lives there, but they challenge his claims of living in the area because he's not wealthy enough. Feeling trapped, he runs inside the building to catch up with Itsuki, who is about to take the elevator. The elevator doors close, so Futaro rushes through the stairs to catch up with Itsuki. He meets her on the right floor, explaining he's meant to tutor her. She firmly refuses, but as they talk, the elevator opens again, revealing the earlier girls. Surprising them all, Itsuki then drops a bombshell. All the girls are quintuplets living together, shocking Futaro. Later, when it's time for their lesson, no one shows up for the tutoring session. Yotsuba helps bring them in, but Itsuki refuses to cooperate. The girls seem distracted, and Miku and Nino argue. While Ichika reads a magazine, Itsuki remains disengaged. Nino offers to study if Futaro eats her cookies, to which he agrees but ends up passing out. He wakes up in a taxi beside Itsuki, who admits they tricked him and suggests giving up tutoring, but Futaro thinks about his financial condition and decides never to give up. He sees that he is outside his home, and then Raiha, Futaro's sister, comes there who warmly welcomes Itsuki and invites her to join them for dinner. During the dinner, Raiha tells Itsuki that she is happy about her brother's job to pay off debts. Futaro asks Itsuki to pretend to go along with whatever her little sister says, because if she doesn't, she will make her sad. Itsuki agrees. Before leaving, Itsuki hints she could manage tutoring alone, but agrees to let him try, leaving him overjoyed. He asks her to gather her siblings for tutoring the next day. Later, Futaro gathers the girls in their house despite their reluctance to have him as their tutor. To test their willingness, he challenges them. Anyone scoring 50 or higher on a test won't need to interact with him again. Itsuki, serious with her glasses on, is the first to accept. However, all the girls try hard, but not even a single of them scores above 50. Disappointed, they rush upstairs, avoiding Futaro. On another day, Futaro rushes to school, realizing how tough it is to balance studies and tutoring. When the girls arrive and see Futaro, they flee, assuming he'll try teaching them. Itsuki asserts they'll handle things themselves, but Futaro quizzes them on a historical warlord. They all ignore him, showing their dislike for studying and him. He tries to earn their trust. Noticing Miku actually knows the answer, but doesn't respond. During lunch, Futaro approaches Miku politely, asking her about the morning question he asked them. However, Yotsuba interrupts their talk, showing Futaro her English homework with all the wrong answers. Ichika then arrives, trying to stop Yotsuba from interfering between Miku and Futaro. Yotsuba asks if they should really invest their time in studying in high school to enjoy youth, falling in love, and all. When Futaro hears love, he gets serious, calling it foolish. He takes it as an opportunity to tell the girls how ambitious he is as a teacher and starts giving them a lecture. The girls see how strongly he feels against it, yet Yotsuba confesses she doesn't have anyone she likes. She asks Miku if she does, and Miku, blushing, denies it and walks away. Itsuki and Ichika conclude Miku is in love based on her expressions, and she is confident about it because they're her sisters. Later, Futaro is shocked to find a note from Miku asking to meet on the rooftop, suspecting she might like him. He assumes she'll confess, but she arrives to tell him she knew the history answer and likes Sengoku period warlords, feeling embarrassed. She feels liking warlords is an embarrassing thing because, nowadays, girls mostly like young, good-looking actors. Futaro thinks this is an ideal opportunity to gain Miku's trust, so he starts encouraging her and offers to teach more about warlords. To win her heart, He brags about his knowledge, but Miku challenges him. She offers matcha soda, teasing about a historical reference, catching him off guard as he can't answer the question. To prove himself, Futaro studies intensely. He challenges Miku, offering to answer any warlord question. She asks him the question but then runs away, and Futaro keeps chasing her. While running, they continue their session of questioning and answering and end up exhausted. He then tries to bond over a drink, revealing he researched to understand her reference. Miku tells Futaro that she hasn't told any of her sisters about her love for warlords. She admits that she feels like the biggest loser among all the sisters. Futaro tries to reassure her, noting her highest test score. She remains despondent, feeling the other girls can do anything she can. He realizes they're quintuplets, and what one can do, the others can too. His words impact Miku, and she gets motivated. She starts attending the tutoring sessions alongside Yotsuba. However, tutoring becomes tougher as one of the girls keeps interfering. Futaro knows Nino dislikes him, yet he still tries to gather the girls for the session. Yotsuba starts helping Ichika to get ready, but when Futaro invites Nino, she rudely slams the door. All except Nino gather in the living room. Itsuki, as usual, focuses on studying alone, asking them not to mind her. Futaro tries to stay calm, thinking the remaining 3 girls are studying, which is a good sign. However, things get more complicated when Nino emerges and she questions Futaro's presence. Despite irritation, he tries to be polite, inviting her, but she strongly refuses and manipulates her sisters not to study with him. Yotsuba leaves for a basketball team, Ichika rushes for work, and Nino suggests Itsuki go to a library, leaving only Miku. When Nino notices Miku and Futaro about to study, she teases Miku, implying closeness between her and the teacher. Futaro tries to intervene in their argument, but his stomach starts grumbling. This leads the girls to have a cooking competition and see who can cook better. As they cook their dishes and present them in front of Futaro, he realizes that Nino cooked better. However, he doesn't want to dishearten Miku, so he tells them that both of the dishes taste really good. Ichika acts childish and leaves. Futaro and Miku wash the dishes, and he realizes he just wasted another day. Unable to study amidst the chaos, Futaro leaves the building, realizing he forgot his flashcards. He tries accessing the girls' high-tech door by pressing buttons on their floor. He contacts Miku, telling her about the flashcards, and she informs him that she is taking a shower and he can take his flashcards from the house. Inside, he encounters Nino blow-drying her hair, clad only in a towel. Due to her poor eyesight without contact, Nino mistakes Futaro for Miku and, frustrated when she thinks Miku's ignoring her, accidentally causes books to fall from a shelf. Futaro swiftly moves to protect her, but they both end up in an awkward position. Itsuki catches them at that moment, snapping a photo. Seeing the photo, Futaro is presented as a criminal in front of the girls who are holding a trial. Nino wants Futaro banned, while Miku defends him, stating he shielded Nino from the falling books. Itsuki's observation about the books helps clear Futaro's name. Still, Nino becomes upset, recalling her sister's past harmony. When she storms off, Futaro suggests following her, but Miku advises letting her go. Outside, Nino sits down expressing her desire not to see him again after the incident. He apologizes and starts walking away, but feeling guilty, he turns back. Nino is surprised when he sits down beside her. He explains he was trying to solve a problem before heading home. When she mutters that she hates everyone, he asks if that includes her sisters. He tries to show her she doesn't truly hate them, and that she doesn't like him just because they've always been the 5 of them with no one else around. However, the conversation doesn't go as he expected. She still insists she won't accept him as their tutor. No matter how much he tries, things just don't seem to go his way. It's Sunday, and it's the day Futaro looks forward to the most, especially with a fireworks festival ahead. He plans to study all day alone, but things change when he and his little sister hear a knock on their door. Thinking it's someone asking for the payment of debts, they're scared, but it turns out to be Itsuki. Futaro tries to close the door on her, but she's there to give him his pay. Now, with money, he takes his sister and Itsuki to the arcade, and they all have a great time together. During this, Itsuki sees how much Futaro cares for his sister. By afternoon, Futaro is exhausted but happy to fulfill his sister's wish. As they're leaving, they bump into all of Itsuki's siblings, surprising Raiha. Yotsuba invites Raiha to see the fireworks with them, and when Futaro's sister looks at him with pleading eyes, he agrees. He then restricts the quintuplets that they are allowed to see the fireworks only if they finish their homework. Once they finish their homework, they head to the festival. Futaro notices the sisters' excitement, and then Ichika receives a mysterious call. Miku explains to him how important the festival is to them and their mother. Growing up, they used to see these fireworks, but then their mother passed away. They still see these fireworks in her memory. Futaro understands their enthusiasm, but soon, due to so many people around, They get separated. Nino earlier told Futaro about a building she rented to see the fireworks, but now, as she goes toward the building, she notices nobody following her to the rented building. In the crowded festival, people bump into her, making it hard to find her siblings. Just as she's about to stumble, Futaro grabs her hand, offering help. Despite not being invited, he wants the sisters to watch the fireworks together. Nino, embarrassed, holds onto his sleeves, and they navigate through the crowd. When they reach the rooftop, the fireworks have started, but no one else is there as Nino forgot to tell her sisters the building's location. Trying to contact them is tough due to the bad network, but when they finally receive a call from Yotsuba, they discover she and Raiha are at the clock tower. Futaro spots Ichika below and promises Nino to get the others. Understanding how important the event is for them, he approaches Ichika, but a strange man blocks him, questioning his relationship with her. Before he can respond, Ichika vanishes. Shocked that Ichika ignored him, he is approached by Miku, who is having trouble walking due to someone stepping on her foot. He guides her to the stairs and bandages her foot. As he helps her up, he extends his hand, and with a smile, she takes it. Two women approach them for a survey, assuming they're a couple. Miku denies it, but their holding hands makes the women doubt their words. He asks the reporters to go, and despite Miku being hurt, she doesn't express it. He then finds Itsuki and tries to lead her to Miku. While talking, he asks Itsuki what kind of relationship they have, and Itsuki claims they're strangers. Surprisingly, Ichika leads him to a dark alley away from others. Meanwhile, instead of enjoying the fireworks together, the sisters are scattered. In the alley, Ichika reveals she can't watch the fireworks due to a work call that she received earlier. She leaves and questions why Futaro is going out of his way for them, making him realize he shouldn't be doing this. While he's having a breakdown, Ichika is about to leave but spots her coworker, who is the same man Futaro saw earlier. She returns, telling Futaro she can't let her coworker know that she snuck out to meet with him. Futaro recognizes the man with Ichika from earlier. As the man approaches, she grabs Futaro by the waist and hugs him, making it look like a couple's moment to her coworker, and this hides her face too. They hold each other, making Futaro feel awkward, while Ichika turns as red as a tomato. Ichika wonders if they appear like a couple and admits they aren't friends as they just hugged. When Futaro denies this, saying he's just a tutor, Ichika gets visibly offended, feeling he hurt her feelings and took them as a friend. Remembering what happened with Miku, he denies being friends with her too, likely hurting her feelings as well. They realize Ichika's coworker is actually a cameraman, and Ichika confirms she works as a camera assistant because she likes filmmaking. He tells her if they don't focus on their studies, they won't get into college. Before he can explain why he studies, they hear Ichika's coworker grabbing someone, assuming it's Ichika, but it's actually Miku. They chase after them to retrieve Miku, who's being dragged at a fast pace, unaware of her injured foot. Ichika and Futaro manage to catch up with them, and Futaro grabs Miku's hand away from the man. The man complains and asks about their relationship. Futaro claims he's their partner and clarifies that Miku isn't Ichika. The man notices the real Ichika standing there, and it is revealed that Ichika is an actress with an important audition, which explains why she couldn't watch the fireworks with them. She apologizes and leaves with the man, but Miku urges Futaro to go after her. He chases them down and finds Ichika at the bottom of the steps. She asks him again why he's going out of his way for them, which explains their partners in a cooperative relationship. She reveals she was recruited 6 months ago and will soon debut as an actress. Before leaving for her audition, he advises her not to fake smiles to hide her feelings. At the auditions, Ichika recalls what Futaro said and impresses the judges with her heartfelt dialogue and expressiveness. Afterward, her boss drives her back to the festival, but all the festivities are over. Futaro, waiting for her, takes her hand and leads her to a park. Her sisters are there, waiting with mini fireworks and sparklers, having taken care of Futaro's little sister, who's asleep on a bench. Nino tells Futaro he did a good job, making Ichika realize her mistake of not being present with her sisters. She apologizes for causing them to miss the fireworks show, but Nino reassures her, admitting fault for not sharing the building's location. The Quintuplets apologize to each other, and despite the altered plans, they enjoy the fireworks together in their own way. Futaro faces his first major challenge as a tutor, which is the midterm exams. Now, his success hinges on his ability to guide the girls through these tests. With just a week left, he emphasizes the need for hard work during their study sessions. The 3 girls, Miku, Yotsuba, and Ichika, attend the studying session today, which is an improvement in attendance. During the session, Futaro highlights their weaknesses in quizzes and study habits. However, he is pleasantly surprised to see Miku focusing on her weakest subject, English. Her determination inspires others to put in extra effort. Post-session, the girls invite him to eat something, but he declines, needing to study by himself. On his way home, Itsuki catches up with him, out of breath, and she tells him that her father wants to talk about the tutoring. The conversation is tense as her father emphasizes that if any of the girls fail their midterms, Futaro must step down as their tutor. This news rattles him, realizing his job depends on their grades. He tries persuading Itsuki to accept his help in studying, but she remains determined to do it alone, feeling offended by their conversation. Futaro tries to reconcile with Itsuki, but their discussion quickly turns into an argument. Itsuki vows never to let him teach her, and he, in turn, pledges the same. Regret fills him immediately after their heated exchange, and they take a break from studying to play a game in the living room. When Futaro attempts to resume studying, the girls complain that they are exhausted. Nino joins them, and Futaro fears she'll discover that his job is at risk if they fail. Ichika unexpectedly claims that Futaro promised to stay overnight to help them in their studies. Shocked by this revelation, he decides to stay there and firstly takes a bath. Nino arrives outside the restroom, and he accidentally confesses his fears about being fired to Nino, mistaking her for Itsuki. When he comes out, Nino remains focused on her phone, refusing to join the study session. Futaro feels at a loss about what to do. Meanwhile, Ichika attempts to encourage interaction between Miku and Futaro, sensing Miku's feelings for him. Yet, Futaro is solely focused on a plan to make Nino study. To get Nino's attention, he answers the sisters' questions about schoolwork loudly enough for her to hear. When Miku asks about the qualities of a girl he might like, Futaro uses it as an opportunity to make the girls study, promising to reveal the qualities every time one of them finishes schoolwork. As they finish their work, Futaro explains the qualities. Nino yells that he is describing his sister, making it evident that she was at least attentive during the session. Later, Miku offers her room for Futaro's stay over, and she sleeps in another room. However, in the middle of the night, she goes to the washroom and accidentally returns to her own room, where Futaro is sleeping. In the morning, when Futaro wakes up, he finds Miku beside him, making him feel extremely shy and embarrassed. The other girls search for Miku, particularly Yotsuba, who discovered she's not in Ichika's bed where she slept last night. Meanwhile, Futaro grapples with the puzzle of how Miku slept beside him. His confusion escalates when Itsuki knocks on the door, seeking help for the upcoming midterms. He comes out of the room, and they hear noises from behind. Scared that Itsuki might learn Miku slept with him, he urges her to leave immediately. As the sisters can't find Miku, and Futaro can't reveal where she is, he lies that she might be in the library. They head to the library to study, and they discuss finding Miku, but they can't. As they return, he runs into Miku, who attempts to discuss the previous night. However, he decides it's better to brush it off, telling her they slept in separate places. She then bids him goodbye as she is leaving for the library. Futaro finds Itsuki dozing off at the table. While studying, Futaro shakes Itsuki, who's using Miku's headphones and drifting off. Anticipating teaching her will be tough, he pretends to mistake her for Miku. Meanwhile, Itsuki struggles to tell him that she is not. He doesn't listen to her and aids her in studies. During this, he apologizes for their last conflict, and they both smile. During their study sleepover, they all work diligently but oversleep, almost missing their midterm exams. Yotsuba manages to arrive on time due to her athleticism, while the rest sneak past a vigilant teacher. Unfortunately, despite their hard work, they each only pass one subject in the exam. The girls anticipate a long lecture from Futaro about their exam mistakes, but he's already braced himself for dismissal. He outlines their errors one last time, praising their strengths and offering study advice. Just as their father calls, Futaro gears up to speak with him about their exam results. However, Nino snatches the phone, lying to their father and buying time, asserting they need more time to judge Futaro's tutoring skills. Futaro is shocked by Nino's actions as she was the only girl always angry with him. However, she warns him that deceiving their father again won't work, urging him to make things right. Despite the confusion, the girls celebrate that Futaro will continue as their tutor. In his home, Raiha shows him an old photo of him that he doesn't want to see and share with anyone. This reminds him of his first love, a girl who changed him. Trying to change the subject, Futaro gets caught up in answering Raiha's questions about his past, feeling slightly uncomfortable. Meanwhile, Miku hones her culinary skills, making croquettes for Futaro and Yotsuba to taste test. Despite Futaro's positive feedback and Yotsuba's critique, Miku is determined to improve, pushing Futaro to eat more until he's left on the floor, regretting his overindulgence. His stomach ache worsens, and he finds himself unable to tutor, blaming Yotsuba's critique for pushing Miku to cook more. Yotsuba, unable to lie to her sister, complicates things by fabricating a story about a mysterious illness Futaro has, so she can persuade Itsuki and Nino to take care of him. Yotsuba successfully convinces Nino to stay by suggesting she could make something for Futaro to make him feel better. While trying to persuade Itsuki and Nino to study, Nino accidentally spills hot porridge on Futaro's face. He jumps, which reveals that he isn't sick, making the sisters angry, and they leave Yotsuba with him. Yotsuba tells him that she is by his side because she loves him, making him shocked, but then she reveals that it was just a joke. Later, Yotsuba informs Futaro about the upcoming school camp, finding him in the library with Miku, but when he turns around, he's wearing a blonde wig and a creepy clown mask, startling Yotsuba. He continues scaring her until the librarian intervenes, scolding them. It turns out that Futaro was assigned as in charge of the courage test during school camping days, in which he had to scare others to see if they are easily scared or not. Before they start studying, Ichika approaches them, mentioning she filmed that day, and exchanges emails with Futaro. She challenges him to get the other sister's emails, threatening to show a photo she took of him sleeping. Futaro swiftly acts, getting Miku's email and bribes Itsuki, saying that if she gives him her email, he will provide her with his sister's contact. Manipulating Nino, he tells her that other girls have given him their emails so that they can talk, and she will feel like an outcast, making her agree. He gives her his handbook, in which Nino writes the email. Back home, he plans a weekend session but realizes he lacks Nino's email in his contacts. He recalls she wrote it in his student handbook, the same handbook as his childhood photo. Rushing to the Nakano sisters' home, he heads into Nino's room, causing her anger. She refuses to return the handbook but strikes a deal. She'll give it back if he pierces her ear. Instead of complying, he sneakily retrieves the handbook from her pocket, causing a small scuffle. Nino discovers the photo and becomes excited seeing a cute boy, unaware it's actually Futaro's childhood photo. He deceives her, claiming the boy is a relative, concealing not only his own identity in the photo, but also another girl's presence in the photo. Yotsuba enthusiastically talks about the campfire dance and how it leads to people dating, but Futaro, always acting like a realist, dismisses it as a waste of time. Yotsuba persists, asking Miku's opinion, and Miku simply questions why people date those they like. Ichika suddenly joins, mentioning love as the reason behind people dating. She then claims that she has some work to do, handing Miku a wig. Curious, Futaro follows Miku, who turns out to be Ichika. He continues trailing Miku, discovering she's being lured by a guy who mistook her for Ichika, asking her to dance at the campfire event. Miku is left unsure about how to handle the situation, being mistaken for her sister. Miku hesitates about the dance offer, which doesn't sit well with the guy. Futaro steps in, and Miku pretends that Futaro has already asked her to the dance, causing him an unexpected dance invitation he doesn't believe in. Unfortunately, the night before the trip, Raiha falls sick, and Futaro stays by her side as his father works. In the morning, Itsuki shows up unexpectedly to take Futaro to the school camp, surprising him by bringing the other quintuplets along. They choose to drive instead of taking the bus. However, heavy snowfall forces them to stay overnight at an inn. Despite having to share a room, the girls are uncomfortable having Futaro with them, but he is quite excited about the situation. In the bath, the girls discuss sharing a room and the mixed outdoor bath, causing outrage among them, especially Nino. She expresses her worries about sharing a room with Futaro, but Ichika assures her he's their friend. To avoid sleeping near him, they plan for everyone to sleep next to him, disguising themselves to avoid recognition. However, their fears are unfounded, as Futaro is already asleep when they enter the room. The next morning, Itsuki is shocked to see one of her sisters leaning near Futaro and hurriedly closes the door, unsure which sister it is. They reach the school camp at last, and everyone helps each other out, from cooking to chopping wood. Yotsuba tells Futaro she'll help him in the courage test, even though she's supposed to help with the campfire. When night falls, Yotsuba and Futaro dress up as scary creatures to scare anyone who comes their way. Yotsuba is a mummy, and Futaro is a blonde clown, and they scare anyone who shows up in front of them, causing a lot of screaming in the forest. However, Ichika and Miku, the next group to arrive, aren't easily scared. On the other hand, Itsuki is so terrified that she runs toward a path leading to a dangerous cliff, and Nino chases after her but gets lost herself. A stranger with blonde hair approaches Nino, and she is scared of him, not realizing it's Futaro wearing a blonde wig as part of his costume. He tries to help her up, but her skirt gets caught, and she blushes. She acts differently because she doesn't recognize him. Suddenly, a terrifying cry startles them, making them scared and rush to escape. Nino almost falls from a cliff, but he quickly grabs her, saving her from a dangerous fall, and she feels even more drawn to him after his heroic act. He confesses his fear and offers his bracelet for her safety, explaining it is very important to him. Unexpectedly, she asks him to be her dance partner at the campfire, while Futaro is confused because he still has to dance with Ichika. They then see someone approaching and get scared again, but it turns out to be Itsuki, lost as usual. Itsuki hugs her sister, and they're relieved both are safe. When Nino tries to introduce the guy she met, it turns out that he has already disappeared. Despite this, she excitedly talks about him when they return to camp. Meanwhile, Futaro is struggling with how to manage dancing with both Ichika and Nino. He helps Yotsubo carry wood for the campfire as a way of repaying her for helping him in the courage test. Later, Ichika notices Futaro's unusual behavior and confronts him. He confides in her, revealing his fear of being disliked, and in response, she encourages him to practice conversing with her, offering to pretend to be her siblings. She advises him just to be himself and be kind. When they go to get the last wood from the shed, he finally asks her to cancel the dance. Unexpectedly, she starts crying before he can do anything. Other students arrive, so they hide inside the shed to avoid being found in that situation. Unfortunately, the students mistakenly lock them inside the shed, leaving Futaro and Ichika trapped. They try to find a way to open the door, but it remains firmly secured. Ichika worries about what Miku would think if she discovers she's stuck with Futaro, especially knowing her sister's feelings for him. Futaro attempts to start a fire despite Ichika thinking it's unnecessary. She tries to engage him in conversation, but he insists he is busy, leaving her concerned about the awkwardness after her earlier tears when he suggested canceling the dance. Meanwhile, the other Quints begin to worry about the missing pair, and Miku quickly figures out they might be together. As they discuss where they can be, Miku leaves, searching for Futaro and Ichika. In the shed, Ichika keeps talking while Futaro continues to start a fire. To get his attention, she mentions the idea of quitting school, which immediately catches his attention. Ichika explains she might take a break from school to focus on her career. She needs to be present for all her upcoming gigs. And surprisingly, Futaro supports her instead of stopping her. He encourages her pursuit, acknowledging it's great she found something she wants to do. While uplifting Ichika, Futaro finally manages to light a fire to keep them warm. Ichika suggests they won't dance around the campfire but somewhere else, and he agrees. Admitting embarrassment about dancing in front of others, he explains the legend of the campfire dance, where couples commit to a life together, making Ichika realize its importance to Miku and feel guilty for upsetting her sister. During their conversation, Futaro sees a log is about to fall on Ichika, prompting him to rush and shield Ichika. In the process, they fall, causing the log to damage the door and trigger the alarm, scaring them. When the door opens, Miku and Itsuki are shocked to find them in a suspicious position. The next day, Futaro feels unwell due to the events, but is convinced by Yotsuba to go skiing. Itsuki takes care of sick Ichika, and sensing Itsuki's reluctance, Ichika questions if she truly believes Futaro is a bad person. Meanwhile, on the mountain, Futaro and Yotsuba are ready for skiing, but surprisingly, Miku and Ichika arrive. They decide to play tag, even though Futaro struggles with skiing. He is willing to play so he can later explain to Miku what happened with Ichika, knowing she misunderstood everything after seeing them in that position. Before he can talk to her, Miku avoids him, and he ends up skiing with Ichika, accidentally hitting a tree. Feeling embarrassed, he walks away, and Nino sees a bandage on Futaro which she gave her dance partner, Kintaro. She realizes Kintaro might be there. She tries to talk to Futaro, but he runs to avoid confrontation. Soon he encounters Yotsuba looking for him, and to escape, they both hide inside an igloo where Miku is also hiding. Futaro plans to leave, but Miku stops him and they start talking. As they converse, Futaro tells Miku that Yotsuba is the most athletic of them, and she does skiing easily. Miku suggests giving her many things to carry so her speed is reduced, but Futaro disagrees, emphasizing the importance of acknowledging everyone's efforts. Yotsuba has struggled to be this strong, so she should be admired. This makes Miku internally happy, and she stands up but hits her head with the igloo's ceiling. Futaro laughs and then leaves. Futaro and Miku end up searching for Itsuki since Ichika mentions she is alone. They first check the restaurant, knowing Itsuki likes to eat, but she isn't there. Miku points out it was rude to assume she would be there. They are puzzled about where Itsuki can be, and Futaro begins showing signs of exhaustion, leaning against a wall. He realizes he is sick, particularly after taking care of Raiha when she was ill. He feels guilty, thinking he might have given Ichika her sickness too. Concerned about Futaro sweating so much, Miku urges him to rest. Just then, the other siblings arrived, worried about Itsuki, and they suspected she might have gone to an area their teacher warned them about, an unmaintained area. When Nino says that if she had gone there, she would have informed their teachers. Nino suggests telling everyone about Itsuki missing, but Itsuki stops her from taking any action. Nino gets upset, emphasizing the urgency of Itsuki's situation. Despite feeling dizzy, Futaro notices something off about Ichika's behavior, and he takes Ichika along to look for Itsuki. At the airlift, he points to someone below, suggesting it might be Itsuki. Ichika confidently disagrees, but Futaro reveals the person is a guy. It turns out Ichika never went skiing. It was actually Itsuki disguised as her. Itsuki apologizes for the deception because she wanted to make sure Futaro was a good person. Futaro playfully teases her awkwardness before suddenly collapsing, too sick to stay conscious. The siblings rush Futaro to their teacher, who confines him to a room and instructs them not to disturb him. Despite their worry, the teacher insists they leave. Before entering the room, Futaro asks to speak with Nino alone, and he informs her that a relative named Kintaro, whom she gave the bandage to, won't be able to attend the dance as he had work. Nino gets upset about the entire dance because of this and decides not to participate after feeling rejected. Meanwhile, Itsuki starts feeling guilty about pretending to be Ichika, which might have caused Futaro to faint due to exhaustion. As she moves through the corridor, Itsuki notices Yotsuba holding Futaro's school camp booklet. They see the many notes and bookmarks he has on it, realizing how much he was looking forward to the trip. They start feeling guilty for making it difficult for him to enjoy. However, they noticed he listed stories about the trip to share with his little sister later on. Itsuki decides to sneak into the room where Futaro is, and she waits for the teacher looking after him to leave before searching for the light switch. When she turns on the light, she realizes all her siblings are there too, all having the same idea of checking on Futaro. As the campfire dance ends, it isn't just one person holding Futaro's hand. Unbeknownst to them, all 5 of them are holding his hands when the countdown ends. Futaro recovers soon and tells the girls that they have to study, and this time he won't be lenient with them.